of a dark and gloomy day, we had to put the light on for my drawing class. But we had a lot of fun, and we were doing pen and ink drawings, just imaginative drawings. Really a lot of fun and a great way to learn line and the contrast between dark and light, black and white. So I thought, I was so fired up by this whole thing that I thought I'd give a little demonstration of this particular technique. You don't need to learn how to draw. You don't need to know how to draw to do this. You could just work with basic shapes, whatever. In my case, I decided to do vines and flowers, and I think that other people did other things. Some just did with circles, some did animal shapes, fantastic animal shapes. That was a lot of fun. And vines and flowers for me kind of relate to my oil paintings. So this is going to be a quick demo of how to do vines and flowers with pen and ink. What I have here is, it's a Pilot G2. I really like these. It has a nice tip, very much like a rapidograph, if you remember what a rapidograph was. It has a very fine tip, and it has ink, and the ink is pretty permanent, so you get some really good blacks, and then of course you play it against. The first thing that I've done on my sketchbook is just simply made a square. I think this is like 5 by 6, and in a way, working within a square kind of gets the creative juices going, rather than just looking at this huge page to see how am I going to fill this page. It's what I call a control, so you put the square down, and then lots of times the imaginative shapes just come. Not going to work with a pen and ink right away, just going to work with a regular pencil and start doing some shapes, and then erase what I don't want, put the shapes in. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. I hope you can see. It's kind of dark, but I think I've got the light on here so you can see that I have made this square here, and just very, very faint lines. And now I'm just going to start my shapes. And again, I'm not planning this. This is just off the top of my head. So put some flower shapes in like this. Petals, and then the vines can curl around like that. So I have to have nice curved shapes that can be vines. And then some leaves on the vines like that. So what I'm developing here is just this really nice kind of floral design. Lots of times I find that if I draw fairly quickly, I get a better shape. Somehow it's just more refined than if I try to peck away at it. And so I think that, as I'm doing the pen and ink, I want to keep the lines fairly spontaneous also. I can change this around a little bit if I want to while I'm putting this in. I have to realize that once this line is down in pen, it really can't be changed. Not like the pencil. If you put a pencil line down, of course you can erase it, but whiteout, but whiteout really shows. Somebody said that that could be done, but I've discovered that whiteout really shows on a drawing. And anyway, this exercise is pretty much really all about spontaneity. So you really don't want to think that you can change anything. And you have to develop confidence to just put lines down and be confident with it, commit to it. And because it's an exercise, no great work of art here, but a lot can be learned by drawing this way and making decisions on the light and shadow. So you can see that I've completed the pen and ink drawing. I have a really nice design going on here. And the next thing I'm going to do is to erase my pencil lines. And of course, because these pen and ink lines are permanent, I could just take the pencil lines right out. This way I can concentrate on the lines that I've committed to. And like I say, you can use any design you want. Just put it down. And now the really fun part is to start to draw it. So I'm basically going to be playing black against white. So I think I'm going to make a shape in here. Now this is going to take a little while to do this, but I'm going to make a shape here, and then I'm going to make it as a background shape to showcase the leaf and vine shapes that I have put down. I want to make this solid and go right up to the lines, so you can see how these shapes are beginning to stand out. And then also that this can be done in reverse, that the leaf shapes can also become dark, and the vine shapes as well. So as I'm working here, I'm just having to decide which is the background and which is the foreground. And my decision on what the background is, of course, I'm filling in that area. And as I'm beginning to see how the quantity of and the shapes of black are playing against the white areas, eventually I will be using a gradation as well. Areas like this that are what I call gray are actually, I'm cross-hatching these areas, but you can see that the contrast between the light and the dark in this kind of area is kind of a gray. And if you squint at it, it really does look gray. So I'm just going to continue building these and maybe putting in some detail like this as I go along. This kind of line can actually go in just about any direction. Cross-hatching doesn't have to be like tic-tac-toe, vertical and horizontal. It can go in any number of directions. I've got a nice white, gray, and black drawing going on, and I'm just going to continue with my background, building up the cross-hatched areas. I'll probably refine the solid black areas a little bit after I get all of it completed, because it's important to see how these areas balance, the black areas balance the white areas. And there's no real plan here. I'm just kind of developing it as I go, which is fun. It's a good way to work. One gets confident in their skills. And if you end up doing something you don't like, then you don't do it next time, right? That's what a drawing exercise is all about. So I'm continuing to develop the background and the foreground, coming up with some really interesting shapes, balancing the gray cross-hatched areas with the black and the white areas. And you can see when you put a background in that's solid black, you're really doing two things. You're putting a background in, but you're also emphasizing the shape of the foreground. And in this case, it's of course the vines and the flowers. You can see here that now I have the opportunity to really see how these areas play out, how these gray areas and the black and the white play out. And I think I'm going to work just a little bit more to solidify these black areas. And just with a pen, an ink pen and a sketchbook page and your imagination, you can produce a drawing like this. Working at it as you go along, you can see where dark areas and light areas make a really dynamic, dramatic composition. And like I say, this can be done with any shape at all. And as you work, let your imagination design the drawing for you. I've spent a bit of time just developing the gray areas a little bit more with the crosshatch shading. And I think this drawing is just about done. Now you can see how the black and the white and the gray areas produce volume. So the black pushes back into the background, and the white pushes forward, and the gray of the cross-hatching shades it to create volume. So was this a lot of fun? Yeah, you should give it a try.